Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the differences and I guess similarities between foods that are deemed as healthy and foods that are deemed as macro friendly. Now, for just to brief you real quick, there's a form of dieting, it's called flexible dieting, also known as IIFYM, which stands for If It Fits Your Macros. And basically, your macros are your fats, your proteins, and your carbs. And you basically have a certain amount of grams per macro allocated for you in a day. And no matter what you eat, as long as it fits that macronutrient profile, you're good. So, I mean, if, for example, you wanted a certain amount of carbs dedicated to, let's say you're craving a Pop-Tart, to use the most classic example of flexible dieting, then it's okay as long as you don't go overboard in terms of your calories, in terms of your grams of carbs for you that day. There's a whole misconception where people are basically eating donuts and burgers all day. That's not true. You just basically adjust your macros that day to allow certain food. You still need discipline, you still need, just like anything else, it still is hard work. The problem is that when you're dieting or when you have that profile, there are some foods that are healthy for you that can still not necessarily fit, or that basically won't necessarily help you reach your specific goals. Now, okay, first of all, let's break down what do I mean when I talk about healthy foods. Healthy foods can include whole foods, which tend to be nutrient dense, and nutrient dense foods tend to be higher in calories. They do contain a healthy source of carbs and fats, maybe even some protein. Healthy foods are also where you're probably going to get a lot of your micronutrients, which is all of your vitamins and minerals, and your fiber, which will help aid in digestion. Now, what do I mean by macro-friendly is that unlike the healthy variety, they tend to be, let's say, lower in fats, lower in carbs, higher in protein maybe, or just maybe lower in calories altogether, just so that you can basically have your cake and eat it too. It's basically made for you to cut corners in terms of a diet and not necessarily feel like you're suffering. So for example, the difference between like a raw vegan brownie and an Eat Me Guilt-Free brownie, which I have not tried yet, but I really want to. The raw vegan brownie, you're thinking like, this is really good for me. This is an amazing cheat because it's healthy, so I'm not gonna get that. It's gonna be fine. The fact of the matter is that raw vegan brownie is probably like 400 to 500 calories because of all the fat that it's got in it and all of the healthy carbs. So it's not to say that it's necessarily bad for you, but it might not help you reach your goals because it might take up a little bit more calories than you would like for it to that day. Does that make sense? On the other side of the spectrum, where you've got that Eat Me Guilt-Free brownie, which this is not a sponsored thing, by the way. I've never tried it in my life, but I really want to, because it's got 22 grams of protein in, ooh, that's just fat. It's got 22 grams of protein in one brownie and no sugar. It's very low carb and a very reasonable amount of fat. And all the carbs are pretty much fiber, so yay. Macro-friendly and healthy does not necessarily make them mutually exclusive. And for example, that raw vegan brownie is nutrient dense, but that Eat Me Guilt-Free brownie, if you read the ingredients, they're all things that I recognize and all things that have health benefits, which is still great. Now there are some other options that might make you think twice. For example, the difference between sweetening something with dates versus using an artificial sweetener. I mean, dates are very high in all kinds of vitamins and minerals. It's got iron, it's got calcium, it's got fiber. It aids in regulating your digestion. It helps you poop. But again, dates are really high in calories and sugar, so if it's something that you want to use, you might not be able to use it if you're, for example, trying to cut down. Whereas a low to no calorie sweetener like Splenda or Stevia will do the trick and won't hinder your goals as much necessarily. Now, I know there's a lot of science out there and a lot of blah blah about whether or not Splenda and aspartame is good for you. I have my opinions on it, and I'm sure you have yours. It might not necessarily be your first pick, but if you're somebody who's not necessarily comfortable in eating, if you're somebody, for example, who is considered a clean eater, which I will talk about in a later video, you can still use stevia. And even stevia, which is, like I said, a perfect example of something that is actually, that has health benefits, so technically is considered healthy, has no calories, so macro-friendly, win-win. If I'm in the process of doing a lean-ish bulk, and I want some protein pancakes, what am I gonna put on them? Well, in the off season, you know, I might not care as much what I put on them. I might want some good old maple syrup, which is not necessarily bad for you. It does have antioxidants. It is a bit higher in calories and is actually higher in sugar. But versus the Walden Farms pancake syrup, I mean, it's good. And when you're on a diet, it'll do. To be honest, if you look at the ingredients, there's nothing really scary in there. It's really just water, a bunch of flavorings, and some binding agents to make it thicker. So it's not the end of the world to have a little bit. Moderation is key. Keep that in mind. Now see, in this case, you would say the maple syrup would be healthier because it's got the antioxidants and all that stuff. But in reality, I mean, it's still pretty high in sucrose, which is sugar. Now it does have a lower glycemic index than the regular refined sugar, which you do kind of want to stay away from. But it is high in sugar nonetheless, which can lead to fat storage later on, as well as cravings, because sugar is addictive. Because sugar is like crack. There are other options too that can go on either scale, which do still have health benefits. I mean, for example, I know a lot of fitness people like their Ezekiel bread, sprouted grains, or even just their multigrain. It's got protein in it, it's got lots of fiber, awesome stuff, but they tend to be higher in calories. And so for those of you who are cutting but still want to eat your bread, I actually highly recommend the Nature's Own brand. I wish I had a bag to show you, but we don't have it here in Canada. But they're like 40 calories a slice, and they've got tons of fiber, and they've got like 5 grams of protein. I don't think they have any sugar, to be honest, if maybe they have 1 gram. Bottom line is it all depends really on what your goals are. So you want to cater your daily diet and your food choices, whether it's healthy, whether it's macro-friendly, whether it's both, yay, or whether it's neither. Moderation. As long as you maintain a healthy balance between the two, and you stay consistent and you follow your goals, and don't see there being a problem. So keep on keeping on. Stay consistent, work hard, it all works out in the end. You're a warrior. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Sophie P Fitness out!